We asked students 21 questions to get to know them, their program, and their experience at Salus University. Here's what they had to say. What's your name?
Hi everybody, my name is Payton Burke.
Where are you from?
I am originally from Antioch, California, which is right outside of San Francisco in the Bay Area. I am currently living in Bethesda, Maryland, completing my externship at Walter Reed National Military Medical Center through the United States Army.
What program are you in?
I am in the audiology program.
Why did you want to pursue this career?
When I first started undergrad, I was not in this profession, and I knew I wanted to be in healthcare. I just didn't quite know exactly what part of healthcare I wanted to be in. So I started taking classes, found communication sciences and disorders, and really enjoyed it. So continued on there. But I think the whole thing was I wanted to help people, and hearing healthcare is such a unique part of healthcare that not a lot of people know about or are educated about. So it can affect other aspects of physical and mental health. So helping people navigate a very uncertain time in their life and introducing things like hearing aids, cochlear implants, alternative communication like sign language, it really stood out to me and was important to me. So that's why I want to become an audiologist.
Why did you choose Salus?
So I chose Salus for a couple different reasons. One being the very unique interprofessional communication that students have. Having the programs interact and being able to see how they will interact in the future is incredibly unique, and I think it's incredible overall. The second reason is there are so many clinical opportunities in the area, so not only being close to Philadelphia and having the huge hospital base that's around, but also the private practice experience and clinical opportunities in the area really stood out to me, as well as the on-campus clinic through the Pennsylvania Ear Institute. So I thought the clinical opportunities in the area were incredible. And then the last reason I chose Salus was for the Biomedical Foundation. I think that they're looking at healthcare overall, not just one program or, focusing on one specific thing, but really being able to interact with any healthcare professional you come in contact with. So having that foundation, that medical foundation, was unique and very important to me.
What have you discovered about your subject area as a grad student that you wish you knew as an undergrad student?
Or something that I discovered when I was in grad school rather than undergrad was there are so many aspects of audiology that I had no clue existed. So, for instance, military audiology or intraoperative monitoring or bone conduction devices, which I know were introduced in undergrad, but I didn't know much about them. There are just so many things to audiology, so many different layers. And for me, I'm in the military now, and military audiology is something I had no clue existed, but now I'm living it. And I really get to focus on not just treating hearing loss, but preventing it and educating our military service members in why we should be preventing this hearing loss. So there are just so many different aspects of audiology that I didn't know ever existed, and now I get to, or at least grad school helped me to explore those options and figure out what I wanted to do within audiology.
What do you feel is unique about your program at Salus?
So Salus has the largest audiology program in the country with 32 students in my year. Most other programs have between 5 to 8. I would say 8 being the max anywhere else. So having 32 students, it can be difficult at times, especially when scheduling labs and things like that. And I know that's silly when you talk about PCO and the amount of students that optometry has, but for our field, 32 is an insane class size. It's huge. But with some of the difficulties also come the benefits of having so many students. So it leads to an incredible alumni base. There are so many people that know Salus's name, that know their reputation, and know the students that they produce. So they are almost creating that base across the country. And the reputation within the field from Salus is incredible.
What clinical experience has made an impact on you thus far at Salus?
That is, that's kind of difficult because I feel like every experience that I've had in clinic has made an impression on my clinical abilities. And I think that's the point. You take certain parts of clinical experiences and you shape your own clinical ability. So that's difficult. I guess if I had to choose one, I completed a rotation at Temple University for a semester, and they challenged me. They challenged my knowledge. They challenged my ability to take that knowledge and interpret it and put it to clinical experience. And they really tested my independence as well. So trusting my clinical judgment, not just relying on my preceptors. So I think that from start to end, that's where I saw the most growth in myself, was from that rotation.
Have you had any discouraging or especially triumphant moments in the classroom or clinic?
Yes, to both. I guess I want to talk a little bit about the discouraging times, because it is completely okay to have very discouraging days. There are days when I leave clinic and I'm like, I don't know why I'm doing this. I'm not helping anybody. And then there are some days when I'm like, I can't wait to graduate and practice on my own. Like, why is it taking so long? So I think it's okay to have those bad days. It's really how you learn from the bad days and learn from maybe a discouraging patient or a discouraging day, and how it changes your ability in the future. And not just focusing on one bad thing, but moving on from it and learning from it.
What's been your favorite class so far?
I really enjoyed multiple classes, so this is also kind of a hard question. If I had to pick one, it would probably be one of my vestibular classes. Vestibular is our balance center, so it's just so unique, and it really made me think and challenged me to learn this whole other side of audiology that I didn't know existed for a long time. So I think that if I had to choose, it was one of my vestibular classes.
Have you had any Eureka moments in the classroom or clinic?
Kind of working off the last question, yes. In my vestibular lab, after going through the class and then moving into the lab and you start to do hands-on things, it was kind of one of those, the labs that clicked. Everything, it made sense. And I really understood how to transfer that from classroom to clinic to lab. From classroom to lab to clinic. And it was a great feeling.
Are you a part of any clubs or groups on campus?
Yes, well, I was. I'm in my 4th year, which means I am completely off campus now. But when I was on campus, I was very involved. So I was part of the Student Council Executive Board for 2 years. So my first year on the board, which was my 2nd year at Salus, I was the executive assistant, and then my 2nd year on the board, 3rd year at Salus, I was the president. So I was heavily involved when I was there. I also tried to help out as much as I could with the Salus Awards Gala and soiree and everything through the Student Activities Committee whenever they needed my help. And then I was also a member of the Student Academy of Audiology.
What's your favorite study snack?
I love trail mix. I usually always had that when I was studying, and I have a huge sweet tooth, so anything sour, Sour Patch Kids, sour gummy worms, anything like that, I really tried to bring those when I was studying.
What's your study strategy?
When I was in class, I would take notes on my computer just because I could type faster than I could write. And then when I was studying, I would slow everything down and write it out. So I rewrote all my lecture notes, and that kind of helped me relearn it and almost like engraving it into my memory when I wrote it.
Where's your favorite spot to study on campus?
I like to study in those testing rooms, or the study rooms that were on the 2nd floor of the Learning Resource Center. And didn't like to use the cubbies as much, just because I like to talk out loud, and like I would read a lot of my notes out loud to, just help work through them. So you can't do that when it's supposed to be quiet up there. So one of the rooms, if those rooms were taken, I would just find a random classroom that was free, and I usually tried to study with other people to talk things out as well. So
what advice would you offer a peer who might be struggling in a specific subject or class?
Don't be afraid to ask the questions, whether you're asking your professor, a TA, you're getting a tutor, you're asking somebody in your class who might not be struggling as much with that subject. Ask the question, because that's the only way you're going to learn the information, is asking. There were multiple times that I set up meetings with professors, I stopped by their open office hours, or I sent an email just to clarify a topic. And I think I'm very outspoken, so I wasn't afraid to ask a question to them. And I had a lot of people come and ask me questions. I was a tutor for a couple of years, so I think that is the best way to, if you're struggling in a subject or having difficulty during a topic within a class, ask the question, because that's the only way you're going to learn the information, is if you clarify, and even reiterating the question back, or the subject back to them. So I want to make sure I'm understanding this correctly. Is this correct? And saying exactly what you think.
How have you felt supported as a student and an individual while enrolled at Salus?
I've really always felt supported when I was at Salus, not only just the professors and the preceptors in clinic, but also the staff around campus. I think that it's a very welcoming place. Again, like I said, I'm very outspoken, so stopping into an office, asking a question while I was studying, or stopping and saying hi to Dr. Caldwell and Monet in the hallway. I always felt like people were there to help me succeed, and that's what they want. They want us to succeed. They don't want anybody to fail. So they're really there. You just need to ask the questions and reach out.
Where's your favorite place to chill between classes, on campus or in the community at large?
I spent a lot of time at the Hafter Center. I worked there for work study, and then I also tried to work out daily. That was my way to disconnect from everything. So you could probably always find me at Hafter Center. I really took advantage of that area, whether it was sitting in the really comfy chairs in the lobby, or working out, or sitting behind the desk. I was usually always there. But if I wasn't, especially towards the end when a lot of our time was spent in clinic and not in class, I would hang out with friends in between classes, just catching up with them, but before our next class started, because we didn't see each other as much. So if I wasn't at Hafter, then I was usually just hanging out in random classrooms or lobbies, catching up with my friends.
How has going virtual impacted your learning experience?
I was very lucky with the fact that we didn't go virtual until my last semester on campus. So class-wise, it was a very easy transition to go to online classes, because we didn't have a lot of classes left. As far as clinic goes, when everything first happened, that was a little bit difficult. I'm more of a hands-on learner, being able to do things, so switching to virtual clinic was a little hard for me. Now, my externship site is completely open. If anything, we just have a little bit of extra time between patients. So 15 minutes added to every appointment. So pretty much one less appointment throughout the day. But we do telehealth and in person. So we're doing telehealth through other secure sites such as the Pentagon, and that's really, really cool to see. And I think virtual and telehealth appointments are kind of our future. They're not going to go anywhere even after this pandemic is gone. So it is a very unique opportunity to learn and be able to experience that transition with my preceptors. So I overall was lucky enough that it didn't affect me too much.
What's the first thing you want to do once the pandemic is over?
I kind of just want to explore. I've been living in DC for a couple months now, and I haven't really been able to go and explore the area much. So I would love to be able to go and walk around the museums and the monuments and everything. I've done a couple things here and there, especially outdoors. I've done more of that. But if I'm still here when things open up again, I would love to be able to just explore.
What advice would you offer an undergrad considering pursuing an advanced degree in this field?
Don't be discouraged if you have to take a year off, if you have to retake the GREs, if you don't get in to schools the first time you apply, any of that. It's completely okay that maybe it takes a little bit longer. My last year of undergrad, I applied to schools. I applied to 2 schools. I got denied. Took a year off, retook my GREs, reapplied to, I think, 5 schools, and got in. My original 2 schools that I applied to, neither of them were Salus. So if I had gotten in, it wouldn't have led me to where I am now. So I think that everything happens for a reason. Just work hard, focus on yourself, and focus on bettering your application, your letters of rec, your GRE scores, everything like that, because it will all work out in the end. So just because maybe you don't get in immediately or you don't get the GRE score you're hoping for, or you don't get the school you were hoping for. When I was applying my second round, I was living in New Orleans at the time, and I wanted LSU so bad. I wanted to stay in the area, and I wanted to go to LSU. I didn't get in. So I got into Salus and another location, and I was kind of weighing the pros and cons, and then I was waiting to hear back. I had been waitlisted at a couple of schools, so it was kind of seeing where I wanted to take that next chapter of my life, and ended up really enjoying Salus's interview. I got to know everybody there, and I felt very supported through my interview as well. So I made the choice to accept my place at Salus, and it has been probably one of the best experiences, clinic-wise, moving into the Army-wise, and a bunch of things. I think if I hadn't, done certain things, then I wouldn't be here now. So it's okay. Don't be discouraged if things don't go the way you thought they would, or the way that they originally planned.
To learn more about Salus University's programs, visit salus.edu/academics.